I have a lot of hot takes. And the biggest hot take is... Ooh, hello, you asked me questions and I'm going to be answering them in this video. I have not done a Q&A in like 2 years. I'm just excited to sit down and yap. So I'm not going to waste any time. I have some really good questions I asked you on my community post on YouTube and on Discord. So let's get into them. So the first question is, how do you watch so many movies? I feel like I don't really watch that many movies. I think this year I've watched 135-ish. Basically, I just watch when I'm in the mood for watching a movie. I've made an entire video how to watch more movies, but basically I'm very lucky and I get to work from home. But usually get up earlier, stay up later, watch short movies, watch shorter movies. I feel like if you really want to watch more movies, you're going to find a way to do that. I know that's not very helpful, but as I said, I've made an entire video on this, and I think that video is like hopefully more helpful than the answer here. But nowadays I kind of prioritize watching things I actually want to watch and don't focus on the number, because I used to do that all the time. I used to be so worried, oh my god, I need to watch like 300 movies this year to be like a certified cinephile or something stupid like that basically. But now I don't really care. I'm just watching things that I actually want to watch. My hair is ridiculous. I just came back from drinking coffee, so I'm a little bit manic. But anyway, that's my answer. I don't know if that's really helpful, but just watch that video. The next question is also, what's the dog's name? I posted a photo of the dog, a random dog I met in a cafe. No idea what it's called. I'll ask my girlfriend, but it's really cute. That question got asked the most. It's like, what's that dog called? What's that dog called? What moments in movies have made you feel the most emotion? I'm gonna just list movies that have made me feel something, and those emotions could be like anger, sadness, all of the emotions rather than specific moments. I don't know if the question was movies or moments. So I'm gonna just focus on movies rather than moments, because I don't know, I just want to. So in no particular order, we have Million Dollar Baby, Worst Person in the World, Wild at Heart, Magazine Dreams, Oslo August 31st, Sing Sing, Passages, All We Imagine as Light, Perfect Days, Lilia Forever, that movie messed me up, Cha Cha Real Smooth, Taste of Cherry, Past Lives, Minding the Gap, Private Life, Blue Jay, Grave of Fireflies, if you know, you know, Big Fish, and Cache, it's Hidden. All of these movies have made me feel something that really sparked some emotion in me. I've recently noticed that I've just been a lot more emotional when watching movies or like listening to music. I don't really know why, but these movies just like by the end of it I was either crying, or they've stayed with me for a very long time, or made me extremely angry. These movies provoked something in me, and they're all incredible in their own ways. Like I remember at the end of Perfect Days, I just was like very upset. Or All We Imagine as Light is just all about longing, or Past Lives, or Big, like all of these movies are incredible and they're frustrating and beautiful, and yeah, I really love those movies. So those are the movies that have made me feel some sort of emotion, strong emotion. Who are your favorite directors? I love this question, and I spent ages coming up with a list, and I feel like I barely dented like my favorite directors. But basically I scrolled through Letterboxd, and I know I'm gonna mispronounce so many names here, but I've noticed over the past few years I've definitely like found a few directors I just really love, and they just have hits after hits after hits. And yeah, these are the directors. I'm sorry if I mispronounced their names. I am horrific at pronouncing names. So Andrea Arnold, Park Chan-wook, obviously Fincher and Lynch, Joachim Trier, one of my favorite directors of all time, Sean Baker. This is my new top 5 director that I do not know how to pronounce his name. He's Russian. So I have Andrei Zvagintsev. I do not know if I'm saying that correctly. He's an incredible director. Just go watch his movies. I'll put my favorites on the screen right now. Then we have Lee Chang-dong. Obviously we have Yorgos Lanthimos, Alexander Payne, Cooper Raiff, Emma Seligman. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Kim Ji-woon, Coralie Farge, I'm so awful at this. Osgood Perkins, Mikhail Haneke. Again, I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. I'm awful at pronouncing names. Obviously, PTA, Christian Petzold, and Kurosawa. I am awful at pronouncing names, but it makes me really happy that whenever I started this channel, I didn't really know any of these directors. And now every single time I see their name pop up on the screen, I'm like, wow, I'm buzzing for this. And one thing for me is I stand by this point. There's a question about hot takes, and I guess this is a hot take. You do not need to watch all of the movies by a director to say that you love them or they're one of your favorite directors. You have your entire life to experience their movies, and I think it's nice to just kind of pace yourself and watch them rather than just be like, right, I'm going to watch all of their movies and then I'm going to say I'm the #1 fan, blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. For me, I've watched a few of these directors' movies and they've really, really stuck with me, and it makes me so excited to watch their maybe like first movie or just movies of theirs I haven't watched. So those are my favorite directors, and I really, really, really love them. Is there anything you change about the Oscars? Are there any new categories you'd like to see or anything like that? Also, what the dog doing? The dog was licking my hands and was getting like drool all over my girlfriend. And I'm gonna be honest, can I even say I'm into movies? I don't really care about the Oscars. Sure, it's really nice to see movies that I love be recognized, but I never really grew up watching the Oscars, and it's never really been a thing for me. I obviously love waking up and seeing who won what, but I don't really have any like super strong opinions on the Oscars. The only category I kind of came up with was essential viewing category, where like 5 movies are listed by like a few critics or a few genres or something like that that everybody needs to watch. Maybe like you have to watch these 5 movies from 2025 or something like that, but I don't know the logistics of that. But that also sounds like a YouTube video that the Oscars makers like, it just sounds like a YouTube title. These are the 5 movies you missed in 2025, Oscars edition. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess Oscars have just never been a massive part of my life, and I don't know, maybe I should get into them more, but I'm also not like educated enough to be able to comment on like sound design or editing. And like when it comes to best picture, I'm like not objective at all. I'm very subjective. I'm like, yeah, I really like that movie, and if anything else wins, I'm going to be really upset and it's really rigged and blah 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 blah. I feel like I need to understand the Oscars and specific things about movies a bit better before I kind of like really watch the Oscars. I don't know. So the short answer is I don't really watch the Oscars, and I'm sorry. I just like watching some of the highlights and just seeing the lists of who won what on blah 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 Instagram. I'm also really bad at keeping up with the most like brand new movies, because #1, going to the cinema is quite expensive, and #2, Ireland just does not get the good movies that are coming out throughout the year. Like I'm scared that the movies that I'm looking forward to this year I will not get to see until like late next year, when they become like until they go on blah, blah, blah. I cannot speak when they, oh my gosh.
They said my big ass thumb.
I fucked that. Bro, damn.
I won't get to watch the movies that I love that are meant to be coming out this year until like mid next year when they're streaming, because like the closest kind of like independent cinema or whatever to me is like 2.5 hours away, 2 hours away. So yeah, I'm rambling, so I'm sorry. What are some of your favorite movie scenes? And again, I'm going to give an absolute awful answer to this. The way I kind of like think about movie scenes is that they randomly just come into my head and they just stay there, and I repeat them all day. I can't really just sit down and be like, my favorite movie scene is this, because it changes day to day. For example, this morning I woke up thinking about the ending of Wild at Heart. The ending of that movie makes me want to cry. I find it so powerful, so emotional, and I don't even know if I'm meant to have that reaction, and that has been on my mind literally all day. And then earlier today, I was also thinking about the final rap battle in 8 Mile, because I used to watch that when I had no internet and I not lived in Lithuania. I was in Lithuania with my granny for 3 months, and that was the only movie I had saved on my iPad. It's very difficult for me to say my favorite movie scenes because there are so many. My memory also sucks, so I can't just list them, but every single day, like without fail, I think of a brand new movie scene and it just replays in my head, and then I start thinking about it. Like yesterday I was thinking about Black Swan. That was in my head, and the day before that I'm pretty sure I was just overthinking Titane because I didn't really understand parts of it, and I was like trying to kind of comprehend. Do you know what I mean? Like so many movie scenes go into my head here, and they stay here, and then they slowly kind of like go into the back of my mind, and then it feels like my brain just pulls a few out, and they're like, right, today you're going to be thinking about this scene and that scene. And I really love that, because obviously movies really, really stick with me, and it mightn't be apparent initially, like straight away, but mornings I wake up or before I go to bed, I love thinking of specific movie scenes that just randomly come into my head. And I know that's a roundabout way answer of saying I don't really have an answer for your question, but I'm just being really honest, and that's kind of how it works in my brain. I really like it. I'm not really sure. What are your most quoted movies? Not necessarily your favorites, just ones you always find yourself referencing. 2 movies we always reference at home are I Love You Man and Four Lions. And there are probably more things that we like to reference, but I also have a horrific memory that I'm awful at remembering quotes. My girlfriend remembers quotes very, very well. For me, quotes just do not stick. But I'll put up like one of my favorite moments from Four Lions, and we always quote this like all the time.
What are you doing?
Just in case they're taking pictures.
What?
Barry says you come out blurry.
Stop it! Stop it!
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? I'm looking forward to movies, trying to be a better person. I'm hopeful for better things to come, trying to make the most of my summer. I'm also excited for like the unexpected things that come in life, just to kind of like the little surprises you don't expect, because life is admittedly quite boring at the moment, I suppose. So I don't know, I'm hopeful for the rest of the year. I'm looking forward to just watching movies and just every single time at the start of the year, I always kind of sit down like and think of like New Year's resolutions and all that sort of stuff, and I kind of accept the fact that some days are just going to be really, really bad, and some days are going to be great, and I'm just looking forward to those great days. And I have quite a lot of like creative stuff happening, I suppose. I have this YouTube channel. I'm running a coffee account on Instagram that I really, really love. I post on TikTok every single day. I'm trying to complete all my New Year's resolutions, just like tiny little things that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to seeing new countries, meeting new people, listening to new music. It's like little things like that that really excite me. So with movies specifically, I'm looking forward to Sentimental Value, which is Joachim Trier's newest movie. Obviously, if you know me, you know that he's my favorite director of all time. But yeah, I'm weirdly optimistic about life. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, I suppose. I don't know. What is the best mindset to have while watching a movie? I think if you know nothing about the movie, then just be open to anything. I know that's like such an awful answer, but I think I don't know. It depends on the movie, because if it's for horror, you need to be in a specific mood for specific genres. For example, if you know the movie's 4 hours long, you need to have patience, because if you are truly in the mood for something short and you see that the runtime is 4 hours and you sit down, you're not really going to give that movie what it deserves, and you're realistically just not making the most of watching it, if you know what I mean. I think it's just good to be receptive, just to be open, and just try be in a good mood. But at the same time, it's okay to watch movies when you're like sad or angry, because movies can feel cathartic, therapeutic. So I think I hate being so vague, but I do really think it depends. But the best mindset to have whilst watching a movie is just to be open and receptive to whatever the movie is throwing at you, especially if it's a little bit experimental or abstract or whatever. It's just good to be kind of like optimistic and open to new ideas and new ways of a story being told. I also think it's important to be kind of true with yourself. Again, this sounds like all like pretentious or whatever, but I think it's really important to be like, if you're sitting down and the movie's from like the 60s and you are not in the mood for an older movie, do not watch that movie, because you're just going to say, yeah, I hated it. I wasn't in the mood for that at all. And I think the best thing, also a really, really important thing, if you know anything about the movie, like you've read it on Twitter or maybe saw it on Instagram, somebody told you about it, try get that out of your head, because there have been so many times I've watched a movie and I've had my expectations just way, way, way too high. For example, Longlegs, like people said it was like the scariest movie of all time, and the first time I went to see it, I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting to genuinely have like sleep paralysis for the next month, which obviously did not happen. But the next time I went to watch the movie, I was like, I'm throwing those stupid ideas out the way and let me just experience the movie for what the movie actually is, and I enjoyed it so much then. So try be open-minded, do not listen to things that you've heard about the movie, and I think you will make the most of it. So yeah. The penultimate question is, who are your favorite YouTubers? Here is a quick list. We have Jeff Nippert, Papa Meat, Tom Nicholas, Ryan Trahan, Squeaks, Ed Pratt, Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, Hassan, Killdozer, and I've been watching a lot of like speed running videos, and I'm always looking for new YouTubers to watch, so please list me some that are great. That's kind of like the stuff I like to watch. I also like not having too many YouTubers to watch, because if I have too many, then I don't really get a chance to watch them all, because I don't watch a load of YouTube. Carson Runquist, obviously, all the movie, Thomas Flight, all the movie YouTubers, you know them all. Obviously, I watch them all. There's loads that I'm forgetting here. This was like sitting down for 2 minutes and just writing a list that just came into my head. Loads and loads and loads of YouTubers. Now it's time for the spicy question. What are your movie hot takes? I have a lot of hot takes for movies. I'm talking about like watching movies, and not specific like a La La Land theory, but just movies in general have a lot of hot takes. And somebody asked me this question on Discord, and it had me writing stuff down for like 3 days. So let me list them out for you. I have a lot of hot takes. Movie endings are not like the most important things in films at all. I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, the movie sucked because the ending was blah, 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 or the ending was blah, blah, blah. Movie endings are obviously important, but I don't think they are like the be all and end all of movies. And I feel like people, when they talk about movies, they just kind of narrow them down just to the ending, but forget if they enjoyed kind of like 90% of the movie, and they just kind of focus on the 10%. A movie that is long doesn't mean is good. I've heard a lot of people say like because it's long it's good, or like I feel like people have like this weird bias just because you spend loads of time with the character or blah 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 that the movie's like automatically good. I don't think that's the case at all. I feel like if the role is about a lived experience, cast somebody who's actually lived it and then let everyone else audition for your story. It really annoys me when people cast non-marginalized people for marginalized roles. For example, if it's a movie about a trans person, why are you not hiring a trans actor? Or if the movie is about somebody who's from a certain country, why are you not casting actors from that country but hiring some like white guy who's from America or something? It just really, really annoys me. And I've seen that quite a lot, and it's just like, there's no excuse for it. It's just so lazy and so stupid. Just, I don't know, do better. And the director, Danny Boyle, actually agrees with this because he made the movie Slumdog Millionaire, and he says he wouldn't be able to make that movie now, and he agrees with that, and I think that's very, very important. I'll put the quote up on the screen, but I definitely agree with him. I think white dudes should stop making movies about experiences that they know nothing about. Emilia Perez is also another example. Obviously, Slumdog Millionaire, just movies like that. Just stop. If you know nothing about it, stop. It's obviously for like money, and it's just kind of like insensitive, and it's irritating to those like marginalized people, or for communities that are just don't have a voice. You're giving them a voice, but through your own lens, if you know what I mean. I don't know if I'm making sense, but it makes sense in my head, and I think yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I feel like post-credit scenes are just getting way too much. I want everything that we need to know to be in the movie, and I don't want to wait 10 minutes after the credits to potentially see something. Like, it really annoys me. It doesn't really annoy me, but I just think it's a little bit silly. Like, sometimes I guess it's innocent enough where it's just like a trailer for the next movie, but when you get like extended details about the movie you just already watched that happens 10 minutes after the credits, it's like, it's getting too far. I don't know if it's from Marvel movies, but I'm gonna blame Marvel movies, believe it or not. But yeah, I feel like relying on nostalgia too much is lazy. That's fairly self-explanatory. Nothing takes me out of a movie quicker than a phone's OS. If somebody's like texting on an iPhone that's clearly an iPhone, but like the texts look like they're from some weird ass Android, it takes me out so fast. Like, you definitely know what I'm talking about when you see texts in a movie and you're like, what sort of phone are you using? But then you see it's an iPhone, but it doesn't add up. That takes me out of a movie so quick. And I know it's very difficult to film phone screens, but when a movie gets those like specific little details right, I'm like, wow, you care. I also really hate when people use native English speakers to speak a foreign language. For example, in John Wick, when there are people who are speaking Russian who are clearly not Russian actors, it's like, just get Russian actors, or get actors who speak, I don't know, Spanish or French. Why are you getting people who are just fluent in English speaking these languages that they do not speak? Stop being lazy. It's irritating. Stop it. I don't know why. That one really gets to me. Like, again, nothing takes me out of a movie quicker than hearing a Russian accent by someone who's not Russian or Spanish, or like, it just, why? It's stupid. And my biggest hot take is Brad Pitt is an awful person, and I feel like it just goes past people's heads. We do not talk about it enough. Every single time I hear people talking about Brad Pitt, they're all so positive about him. They're like, oh, he's a great actor. And they just ignore all the awful, horrific stuff that he has done. And I don't really understand it. You can't just pick and choose awful people. It's either stick with disliking awful people or agree with the awful people, which is like stupid. But you can't just be like, well, he did an awful thing, so I'm going to be against him. But that other guy who's like kind of attractive and is in a lot of movies that I like, I know he did awful things, but it's fine. He's cute. We're going to ignore that. Stupid. Happens way too much, and it really, really irritates me. Whew, that felt almost therapeutic. I feel like I've said a lot of things there. I don't know if some of them were controversial or whatever, but that was actually really nice to just sit down and yap. Thank you so much for sending me those questions. That was really, really lovely, and I hope you don't mind me not talking about movie-specific things. But I guess a lot of these questions are kind of like movie orientated. So thank you so much for watching, and if you have any other questions, please comment them and I will gladly answer them. But that's everything I have to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.